Hello everyone, I hope you're doing okay. This video, I have been asked to watch a video and give my opinions on it. This video is posted quite a long time ago, but I've not actually seen it. I do know what the video is about though, so before I start watching it, there's just a couple of things I want to explain of my opinion on the whole situation. It is something I've seen talked about quite a lot, that being the Gib range. Some people think it should be longer, some people think it should be shorter. That is a completely valid discussion to have. Just in my opinion, I think that people are looking at it for the complete wrong reasons. Now, obviously, we all know about Gears 4's famous 83%, and then whatever it is now on Gears 5, is it 84%? Is it? I don't know if that's just a troll or what. But anyway, the reason behind it isn't the Gib range, and I want to explain why. As we look in Blender here, I've made a quick example just to show you. So let's imagine that this here, this is the map. This is the target that's about to get shot at. This is the player doing the shooting. This here, this is the Gib range area where the player has to be in order to get the Gib. And this here is what I want to talk about in a minute. So, player 1 is shooting at player 2. If player 1 moves here, player 1 shoots and they will not get a Gib. They are not quite close enough, even though it might feel like they're close enough. To get the Gib, they need to just get that little bit closer into Gib range. If they shoot there, they will get the Gib. It will work. However, when you're playing, you are moving around, so chances are you might step slightly backwards out of Gib range, and that at game pace feels fast, it feels like you're close, but actually you can see you're just a hair out of how close you need to be. At that point you probably get the 84% and feel like you should have got the kill. So based on that, a lot of people say increase the Gib range. But before we do that, let's have a look at something. So if I put that back, this block here, now if you think back to Gears 1, 2 and 3, I'm not sure if Gears 4 had it, I don't want to comment on that, but Gears 1, 2, 3 definitely did. It was the Nash's one-shot down ability. Now, in the past, when I found out it wasn't in Gears 5, I was quite happy about that because it used to be quite frustrating. But looking back at it now, and after hearing the arguments made for it, I do actually think that it's the best thing for Gears in this situation. Because if this player feels like they should get the kill here, but instead they get 84% or whatever the number is, this player can then fire back even though they were so fortunate to be alive. This player feels cheated because they were so close to it. However, they are in this area. So what this area could be is the range for the one-shot down potential to happen. And I think that's a good idea, because that way they don't get the kill, they get an instant down, in which time this player's teammates could help them, whatever, anything might happen. This player doesn't necessarily die, but they are punished for letting this player get so close into this one-shot down potential range. Oops, didn't mean to grab that one. So if we move this player back to there, I think that if we had that, it would make this player feel like they've got more chance of doing damage when attacking, and it wouldn't necessarily need a change to the Gib range, and it'd probably make the Nasher feel a little bit more consistent when in a battle. But I want to have a look at the people who say that the Gib range needs to be increased. I can't explain this in any clearer way to you. Let's say this is a short Gib range. If we get rid of all of that and bring in an example for long Gib range. Player 1, player 2, long Gib range, one-shot down potential area. Player 1 is obviously going to try and stay as far away from the opponent as possible so not to get gibbed. So if they move into... Why am I grabbing that? Oops. If they move into one-shot down potential area, that would work exactly the same as in the short example. And if they enter one-shot down range, chances are they're not going to be getting up close like this when they can kill them from over here. So as a player, the player is naturally going to try and stand on the very edge of where the Gib range limit is. So as they're stepping in, they're shooting, stepping back out. But again, at full game pace, it can be hard to determine where that is and where that is. So players naturally, they're going to step out slightly too far. So if a player stood there on this, they're going to get a Gib. If a player stood there, they're not going to get a Gib. And again, that is unclear for the player, and that's not something that's at fault of the game, it's just naturally how players are going to play. So increasing the Gib range is not going to eliminate the 84% that people seem to be getting. I think what the best thing for the game is to give an option between either getting a kill or getting nothing, and the other player being able to just shoot back straight away. So the one shot down, if the player was here feeling that they should get a kill, they'd get the one shot down on the opponent. So then they wouldn't feel as cheated. All they've got to do is finish off the opponent if they're able to. So with that, I want to take a look at Hindian's video. He made it a couple of years ago, I believe. I'm not sure what to expect in it, but I know this was at a time where we didn't agree with each other, so I might have just glossed over it with an unfair opinion. But let's take a look and see what Hindian's got to say.
Hey YouTube. Gears of War has been a game cherished amongst those of us who believe it's the cream of the crop in terms of style, skill, and shit talk. Ever since its emergence back in 2006, it's become a household name for Xbox users alongside Halo. But beyond being the brand that pretty much led the torch for the entire 360 lifecycle, Gears of War is known for being a difficult game. Hard to approach, hard to master, only those who endure and enjoy the punishing gameplay return and invigorate the franchise with each release.
Right, I know this isn't the topic of the video, but I have to comment on that. That is so damn true. The older games were so enjoyable because they were so difficult and you had something to learn. Oh, I miss those days when it actually had a reason to practice. Right, sorry, let's get into it.
Today, I'd like to talk about something that's lately been a controversial subject: the one shot down. Now, before you blow up the comments telling me what a bad idea it is to bring back something that's been in the game from the start, give me an opportunity to present my case and why I think, while frustrating at times...
Right, I owe him an apology for this. I remember going back quite a long time ago. He and I had quite some beef, and I remember seeing him mention this in a dev stream. And hand on heart, I don't remember what I said to him, but I know I was a dick to him about this, and I wish I'd heard him out. Sorry, dude. Let's see.
Times, the one shot down is more important now than it's ever been. And if Return to the Game would fully turn a title that was dead at launch around and get people talking again.
I'm just curious if he wants it for the same reason as me.
First, let's look at the counterpoints to this, and a little reason why the one shot down was removed. To be fair, there isn't exactly a lot of information regarding the change and why it was made.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a reason, it just seemed to be done. Okay.
Sure, you can scour the forums for some obscure "fuck one shot down" posts, but internet search engines reveal no definitive answer for why this tool was retired. Seriously, Google "why was the one shot down removed from Gears of War?" Nothing comes up, even using different words or search engines. Seems like someone had this radical idea internally, at least from what I can gather.
Yeah, dude, like, I just feel like with Gears 5, that was just the case for so many things. I'm not going to say I've Googled the reason for why things happen, but like the game started with a 6-shot Nasher. Why? just things like that. I think there was a lot of internal things being done, and I can't help but think a lot of it was for new players. Now, off the top of my head, I can't think of a reason why the one shot down would be removed to help new players, but I do think it was a conscious decision. Like, something like that just doesn't get forgotten to be put into the game. Like, it was taken out for a reason. I don't know what, though.
And the idea was tossed around to remove it from the game. It's a stretch, and I know I'm reaching, but without any other evidence to contradict this claim, for now, I'm going to say this was something they talked about for a while.
The old pistol in the air. Oh, well.
I remember the rumor mill from years ago, around the time competitive 2.0 betas were going on, how they wanted to test it out and look at the data, but nothing ever happened. Granted, I stepped away from Gears 4 a little after that.
Wait, sorry, did he say the 2.8 beta? Let me just go back. What did he say?
I remember the rumor mill from years ago, around the time competitive 2.0 betas were
Oh,
going
2.0,
on.
okay.
How they wanted to test it out.
So I said that because there was a lot of, if you think back to Gears 4, there was a lot of different beta tests, and I liked the fact that they did that. The thing is, throughout that, there was some versions I didn't like, but the one I did like was 2.8, and I don't understand why they got such amazing feedback from the 2.8 beta, and then just threw all of it away at the very end. So this is the thing, the 2.8 beta was at the very, very end of Gears 4. They got great feedback. It's like, right, this whole game, it has been kind of one big beta test, but it's been worth it. At the end, we've got all the information we need. We've got a great tuning, it's getting great feedback. Tweak slightly if it needs a little bit of polishing. Gears 5 into there, perfect, let's go. No, didn't happen, it vanished. I don't understand that. But anyway, sorry, again, I get sidetracked so easily. Let's go.
And look at the data. But nothing ever happened. Granted, I stepped away from Gears 4 a little after that. Community was becoming toxic, players were 5-man lancering,
Oh, that's loud.
they were optic gaming, and 500 grand was on the line. It was just pathetic, and not what I expected from a game where pacing and decisions mattered.
This music's not me, guys, this is the video, sorry.
Now, I am aware there is a vocal community against one-shot downs, because it sucks when you enter a fight and feel like you didn't even have a chance. Understandable, nobody wants to commit time to something and have it not work out. But let's be real, that's life. An old Yiddish proverb says, man plans, God laughs. This is very true in the sense that we can have a game plan, but it doesn't mean anything. That's just us trying to be cool, act like we're going to pull everything off. It's all within our control, but it's not. If you get one shot down, guess what, buddy? You overextended, and it happens.
Right, he's right. Like, it's as I explained on Blender before, okay? It's frustrating to get one shot down, yeah, but at the same time, I've let the opponent get that close to me, and it's frustrating because I didn't mention it before on Blender, but let's say the character's one step outside of Gib range and shoots you, gets 84%, 87%, whatever percentage might be. They shoot you. They feel cheated at that point because, really speaking, you shouldn't have let them get that close. But then all you need to do is take one step forward and shoot, and then they die. It's not fair, so he is right. If you get one shot down, it's your own fault for letting the player get that close. He's right, he is.
It's to the best of us. Not even Shroud can win every game. But I think it's time to let go of the limited to non-existent cons and speak on the pros of why this feature is crucial to the game being relevant for another generation. I mean, truthfully, anybody who doesn't want this in the game should, because you're taking a tool away from yourself.
Hadn't looked at it like that.
Tilt factor. You see this kind of option everywhere. In fighting games, it's sometimes called X Factor. In Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's referred to as Sparking Blast. Gears of War has a few options similar to this, some of which are toned down or gone completely. Certain features enable a player to pull off scenarios he should lose. For Gears, the two most important features in every stationary gunfight was the active reload and the one-shot down. Let's say you're playing Gears of War 1 on Subway.
Right, I don't know when this was made, so I don't know at what point he said this. The actives, I am actually really happy they are no longer on the loadout weapons. Now, the reason for this is because, yes, they made them more powerful, but it was because you could go into a battle and there's no visual indication as to whether the player you're against has an active or not. So you don't know if you're, I'm not going to use the word fair because you've got the ability to do that as well, but you don't know what damage the opponent's weapon is going to be doing to you. So you don't know if you should be playing the exact same distances to him, the same timings, because he could just come out of nowhere and whack you with an active that you don't know he's got. So for that reason, I am glad that the actives are gone. I might be speaking completely off topic, I don't know what he's going to say, but I just wanted to add that in.
Your whole team got bodied. It's a 1v3. If we apply Gears 5 rules, all these players have to do is look at you and shoot together to win.
So yes, it is.
With OG rules, you can active your clip and go for broke. Maybe they're sticking together, so you lure them down the steps and around a corner, lefty back A, one guy for a body. Now it's 2v1, but you just took a 4-point shot and you're blood red. You react in time using the second in between Nasher shots to take your chance, and that one shot you managed to fire downs him. You're now in a 1v1 situation where the clutch outcome is more realistic. Without that active and one shot down, you're toast.
Okay, so I think this is where we're going to disagree, and I'm not going to back up on this. I don't like the actives in the Nasher, but I do agree with what he's saying in terms of the clutch potential, shall we say, the clutch factor that's in the game. I don't put that down to an active. I put that down to two things. One is player mindset, and the second is however the Nasher is tweaked for ranged damage. So what you'll find now compared to the past, in the past you could get a clutch, and people say it's because players have improved over time. Yes, players have improved, but not to that extent. The main thing about the players now is, in the past people used to play for fun. Now players play to win at all costs. And you can get a situation where it's 3v1, and it'll be the players on the team of three that will be getting angles, crossing, and just doing anything to chip damage away. Or it could be a case of all three people shoot at the same target at the same time. Because I feel that now a lot of people are not confident in their 1v1 ability. So I don't think the active is a reason for, I don't think that the active is why that is no longer a thing. I think it's player mindset. But also, the damage, it's too powerful for chip damage at range, which allows this playstyle. So it's all well and good blaming the players for how they play, but the game provides it. Now, you could say that the Gears 3 Nasher was powerful as well at range. Yes, completely. That was very powerful. But the difference back then is people didn't play like their life depended on it. And this is why I say it doesn't matter how perfect Gears gets tuned, it will be the players who ruin the experience if players scrap fun for winning, because there's just no way around it. So the example he's giving now is the adrenaline you can get where you go into a 3v1, 4v1 or whatever. In the past, obviously you were outnumbered, it was going to be a task, but the game wasn't restrictive, it would let you do it. The players didn't play in such a weird way that it made it pretty much impossible for you to move. It had that adrenaline factor, the fun factor. Now that is gone, and it is for a mixture of those two reasons, in my opinion. I don't link it to the active, but let's see what he says.
You know, if you don't get the Gib, you'll lose. If you misjudge the Gib, you lose. No point in playing for shots, because you know it's going to take 4 shots to down 2 people, and really only take each of them 1 shot each together to take you out. I don't need to do the math for you. The pressure put on the solo player is so unfair, and this was never a thing in the past. You weren't a bullet sponge. You either pulled it off or you didn't. Sure, now it's predictable, but that's not a good thing. It means fights constantly play out the same, as Baird was saying.
So, I'm sorry to keep pausing, I just want to talk on what he's saying, even though it's not so much like the one shot down just yet. Thinking back to Blender earlier, again, when you're in that one shot down potential range, which I marked out with this smaller block, that is the distance you need to be to put someone, quote, 4-point or full red, if we're using the old terminology. If you get put 4-point, all it takes is one or two bullets from a Lancer somewhere else to down you. And the thing is, as I just said now, players do not feel confident in their 1v1 ability. They always have to be shooting you at the same time as a teammate. They cannot do it themselves. If they find themselves in that situation, they will run away, hide behind a wall, and let you push them. They cannot do it anymore. So, with this, I think that one shot down range should be there just as a base thing, regardless of actives or not, because I don't want to see actives. I think that distance should just be a universal thing based on having no actives. It should be distance based, not active based.
A little monotonous. Player engagement goes down. People sit behind a cover for the whole match, lancering because the other weapon in their inventory is so inconsistent.
I don't know if it's because it's inconsistent. I actually think the Gears 5 Nash is really consistent. I think what it is the Lancer was just so much easier. And obviously this was made before delays, but now it's even worse with the delays. But I'm not going down that route, that's not what this video is about. But there's so many things to hinder Nasher play, there's no reason to use it. You use a Lancer, you're going to win if you use a Lancer, so you use a Lancer.
Ineffective. You'd rather just be a rat and focus on wins.
Yep, that's just what
Whatever
I
it
said. Just what I
takes,
said.
Regardless of enjoyment.
Thank you.
Or how it makes you or the players you go against feel.
Thank you. And that is why Gears 5 did not work. I've said it all along. Oh my God,
This game
thank
isn't
you.
fun to play with people you don't know.
I wish I watched this years ago. I really
And that
do.
has never been true for a Gears game. In almost 14 years I've been playing anyway. There are just more benefits to having this option in the game. I can think of a couple off the top of my head that really should come back and have some consideration, figure out how you would implement it, like the weapon slide from Gears 1, for example. That's a really good idea to bring back.
I don't like the weapon slide, I'm not going to lie. Like, I do understand what he's going to be saying. It takes button inputs, it's the same as a wall bounce kind of thing. Like, you've got to learn to be able to do it to time it. But I do think there's certain situations where you should be putting yourself at a slight risk if you're doing it. For example, if you're running away, you shouldn't be able to just slide over a boom shot, pick it up, and then turn around and body the guy that's chasing you. I think that there should be some situations where you've got to think out what you're going to do. Weapon slide, I don't agree, man. Sorry.
It just made sense that you could grab a weapon while sliding into cover. It prevented you from getting your head ripped off, but if you were a really good sniper, you could still get somebody in the weapon slide. I mean, there's just such a big benefit to having that back in the game, but trust me, there will be a different video for that at a further point. Gimmick one-shots. This transitions into my next point about the current meta. Gimmick one-shots.
I don't know what this means.
I've heard this term coined a few different ways, but I'm talking about when you get hit with a stray bullet, be it Lancer, pistol, hell, even a Nasher from 50 meters away. But then you get shot a second time, almost immediately afterwards.
You go down?
By another
Is that what he's going to say? Go down?
And if that opponent hits you with all of his pellets, you go down.
Yeah, right. I knew that was coming. So that's what I've just been talking about then, but the other way around. So a player, I don't know the values for like Nasher damage and everything right now because for reasons that I'm sure many people know, I'm no longer looking at the forum, so I'm no longer looking at the details. But that aside, I do know Gears players have 600 health. So if we're going to make up a number now, it's completely pulled out of thin air. Let's say a point-blank Nasher shot just outside Gib Range does 550. Let's say a Lancer bullet, does 50. That 50, just keeping that tiny little bit red that might not even show up on your omen. If that hits you first, you're not going to notice it. If it hits you second, that's enough to finish you down from 4 point to completely down. So I think it's the same situation, but just if it hits you first or second, basically. I don't know what he's going to say though. I've never heard it with that terminology, but let's see what he says.
What this has created is a forced meta where there are always people sitting back with a Lancer all game,
Yep.
covering their allies in every fight.
Yep. And now this is the thing. In a competitive environment, there is no problem with Lancering. Because in a competitive environment, they are playing to win. Obviously, they are going to abuse the hell out of the game as much as they can because they have a reason to win. Ranked is public. I don't care what anyone says. Ranked is public play. The point of public play is to win. I know I've said that now. I'm like, the point of public play is not to win, it's to have fun. And people don't play that way anymore. They play to win. So in an actual competitive environment, players are going to be trying to cover their teammates, obviously, so they can get the downs. Like, if anyone played GB back in the day competitively, you'd know that the snub was probably used a little bit more than the Lancer, but the Lancer was also heavily used. Running around the Nasher, it didn't make sense for trying to win. The Lancer was used for trying to push through a map. For example, let's say you're on Old Town, I don't know, random map, let's say you're on Gears 3 Old Town, and you know your teammate is at the boom shot. You go down, you win nades, you look over towards boom shot, you get an angle on his opponent with your Lancer so that he is distracted so your teammate can grab boom and win that encounter as well. It's about angles and progressing, whereas now in public, people don't do that. They use the Lancer to sit as far back as possible and let you run at them. It's like they're playing Horde. They've set up a base and they want all the opponents to run to them because they don't know how to push forward and win. They don't want to know how to do that. All they know is if they sit back Lancer, they win. So why would they want to put in the work of actually trying to learn the game and push forward when they can sit back Lancer and have the win come to them? I went off a massive tangent there, but yeah, let's see what he says.
But never being exposed to danger, and basically getting points for free with zero risk, because they know their Nasher skill isn't that great.
Yeah.
But they can track an opponent while their allies dance, and get eliminations now that kills are shared.
So glad that went. That was so dumb.
While I do think the elimination system is positive, for a lot of
Really?
reasons.
No. Right, before you say what you're going to say, why, dude? All that did, let's think back to when it was in the game. We had Bronze, Silver, Gold, Onyx, Diamond, Master. The eliminations let someone sit there, put literally one snub bullet into someone. If their teammate did 99.99% of the work, they still got an elimination. That elimination would allow them to rank up. And granted, I'm not saying they're going to only get to Masters doing that, but in theory, there's nothing stopping them getting way more points than they deserve, than they have the ability to do, which then misranks them. Eliminations did not belong in this game at all. It was better just having the assist points to go towards a scoreboard, because that's more reflective of what they've actually done.
I think it's created a mentality where you don't ever have to leave spawn to get points. I mean, you can rank up and earn a positive KD just by camping the spawn. Trust me, I hate when some loser kid walks up and steals my down, and it's great that I get the elimination as well. But wouldn't it be smarter to refine the system so that scoring is more intelligent and less generalized?
Yeah. Oh, they did that, to
Kind
be
of put
fair.
a
It's better
band-aid
now.
on a wound that needs stitches. A good solution would be whoever does more damage or percentage in a fight gets that kill.
Right, I know this is just my opinion, but I used to really care about kill stealers. Like back on Gears 2, it used to bother me so much. And whilst I'm not going to pretend that I was some sort of competitive player, I wasn't. But I did play a bit of GB, and I really enjoyed it. But after playing GB, where you realise just how team-based and tactical that is, going back to public, where you've been having your kills stolen all matches in competitive, and not caring, you just stop caring about it in public. But I do understand the frustration is there, but I don't think it's the big deal that I used to personally think it was. But I get it.
The other player gets nothing, so there are no kill thieves. Just whoever took more risk or got the better shot earns their points. This would actually reduce the incentive to sit back and Lancer all game, because players would have to engage with others or stay stuck at their respective rank. No true bronze player should boost to Onyx by using Lancer only.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh my, this is something I talk about on Gears 4 all the time, because I've seen so many people wanting to find squads, and they specifically said must cross, must Lancer, and I was reading it cringing so much. And I'd mentioned to them, like, why do you want to do that though? It's because, well, I want to get to Diamond, was it? I think it was Diamond in Gears 4. And I was like, no, I get it, but why? And they're like, well, it's the highest rank. I was like, yeah, I understand that, but I know this sounds disrespectful, but clearly, if you need to play like that, you're not good enough to be in Diamond. You don't deserve to be in Diamond. And when you get into Diamond, you stop playing with that stack of people you just found to get there, you're going to be outranked, outclassed, and you're going to drop down the ranks because you can't compete, which won't be fun for you. It won't be fun for the opponents because they'll be playing against somebody who isn't at their skill, so they'll be like, what are we playing against here? And it won't be fun for the random teammates that you find on your team because you're completely useless compared to what their skill is and what their requirement for matchmaking should be. You've got to that rank because you use the easiest techniques possible to get there, which is why when you got to those highest ranks, the people you would find would always be Lancering. That's because that is all they know how to do. That is how they got there, and that is the only way they can still compete on the game. It's because they use the easy way to get there. And I know I'm completely off the topic of One Shot Down, which is what this video is meant to be, but he's talking about this, and I just wanted to cover these points because it is so valid, and it was so frustrating to see that route taken, because I think that's one of the biggest problems that Gears had in the past years. Why people want to play like that is beyond me. The rank should be there so that you can not even see. I think the rank should be completely off your screen. It should be in the background, working how Gears 4 had it, because Gears 4's rank system was really good, and it was only changed because people were like, oh, well, I don't understand how I'm ranking up. I'm not ranking up. I'm not moving. You don't need to move. As long as the game's giving you a good matchmaking system based off that rank system, then that's all that matters. You don't need to be able to get into a rank that you're not good enough for. Don't even look at your rank. Just play the game and enjoy it. Do well in it, improve, and as you improve, you'll get into those better games naturally. Yeah, let's say you get a skin for, I don't know how it'd work on the back end. Let's just say you get a reward, a skin, or whatever makes you happy. You don't need to be able to see what you're going to be getting. You don't need to grind for Diamond. You don't need to grind for Masters. Play the game, get there naturally because you're good enough to get there. If you're not good enough to get there, oh well, it's only a rank. You're still playing the game. You're still doing okay in your correct matchmaking pool. Rant, yes, but let's go.
He will be a detriment to his future allies who had to go
What did I just say? Oh, we are in sync here, man. Okay.
Now, the unintentional good consequence to this change would mean while team fighting would happen, it would be up close. So players would be forced to compete for points. Less.
See, I still disagree there, because what we have now is this same problem we were talking about earlier. Instead of using Lancers, players will just walk around and chip away damage just outside of Gib range with their Nashers to just keep doing like 20%, 20%, 20%. You can't move that situation. You're still screwed, but they don't have to get close enough for you to be able to realistically do anything. So whilst, yes, that is a tuning issue, I also think that the fact the elimination was linked to that is a problem. It should be the person who gets the kill, and let's say the other person does 30% of the damage, give them 30% of the points. It's such a simple way of doing it. I'm glad that they moved towards the score system and not eliminations. I don't like eliminations at all.
Lancer is always a great idea. Honestly, I'm still waiting for a map that's indoors, close quarters, and minimal sightlines. I think Exhibit is a great example of this. No matter how much I dislike Gears 5 sometimes, that map and Asylum always get me hyped to play. Just a lot of fun and interesting mechanics, switch up how people play the map. But yeah, let's get the gimmick one-shot out of the game and see what happens when players realize they can no longer cheese. Teaching mechanic and culture. Yes, that's correct. The one-shot down is an opportunity to learn.
Okay, so this is what the video is about, one shot down. I'm not sure what example he's going to give us here. It looks like a weapon slide plan, but I don't know. Let's see.
In every Gears game I've played, my friends and I would always hop into custom lobbies offline and test out weapons. We learned one-shot down range, what shots did more damage, pellet spray angles depending on your wall bounce and the direction of your barrel and your screen. Basically just labbing data before we hopped into ranked execution. Part of the problem with this game isn't the game itself, it's the players. And it's one of those rare exceptions to the rules where you actually do hate the player instead of the game. Hiding behind walls, swinging a shotgun, pretending to want a 1v1, and then lancering the opponent down.
Oh, I
Then
remember that.
aimless. The list goes on in terms of how degrading players are to each other. I've had my fair share of the worst, including being spawn trapped on Gears 4.
Dude, just a tip for future videos, turn your music down, man, I can't really hear you.
During ranked escalation, with the enemy team refusing to cap hills and just lancering us down from spawn. We were down a teammate.
Okay, is this going to be one shot down? Yes, okay. So this is my point. One shot down there. Let's say he stepped one step further forward. Let that be a Gib range. And then if we're looking back at the one shot down distance, if he steps one step back, let's say that is, I don't know, 80%, 70%. So that you've got to be in certain range to do different things. Either you're going to do chip damage, you're going to do a one shot down, or you're going to Gib them. That's what I'm trying to say from this.
And they randomly just did this to us. It's these kind of lame stunts that are taking the game down. And we need to be accountable for our bullshit. If you jump into a game fresh from campaign, expecting to body the lobby, you need to get your head checked.
That's what people seem to want.
Getting good at a game takes time. You have to lose in order to win. Otherwise, victory doesn't taste that sweet. If you don't get constantly bodied and one shot down, you'll never improve your fundamentals and learn what.
People won't do that anymore. I know this is a little bit off topic of one shot down again, but people won't do it anymore. They want to be able to jump into a match after playing, I don't know, campaign or some PvE mode, and they want to still be able to compete. And obviously, I get that, but you've got to understand that people have been playing the PvP for over 10 years. And whilst it shouldn't be a case of you literally don't stand a chance, it should be a case of, yeah, you're getting battered, but you're looking at what they're doing to batter you. And you think to yourself, okay, that is really advanced. I don't know how to do that yet, but I want to learn how to do it. And you practice step by step. You improve gradually over time to the point that, granted, you're still not at their level yet, but you are getting better than you were. And then what that should do is what I've just been talking about. As you are improving, if the rank system worked properly in the back end, as you improve, your teammates and your opponents should improve with you as a matchmaking pool progresses you into a higher rank. And then as you go into that, you're looking at, wow, I'm getting battered again, what's going on? And you look at what they do, and you improve. And the only way you improve this game is by going against somebody better than you. Because you realise, hang on a minute, I'm not as good as I thought I was, they can do things I can't, what are they doing, why are they better, and I want to learn how they are doing what they are doing. But now, if they go into a match, if they lose, then they think that what you're doing is cheating. Like, I've recently had a conversation... I've recently had a conversation with people who believe that wall bouncing is cheating. I'm not even going into that. But that's the mentality that we're at. People just want to hide and lancer because they play to win. And it's like, what are you doing? It's all well and good using these new easy techniques put into the games, but you're not learning to play Gears. You're learning to play an easy version of Gears. That is not the same thing. So you've then got these older players who learn to play Gears, and these new players who learn to play an easy version of Gears, going against each other, and both sets of players hate each other because one set of players thinks the other person is playing pathetic. And it's just a mess. It really is a mess. They should never have introduced easy things. It should have been a case of, yeah, the game's hard, but here is a functional ranking system with a matchmaking system that actually works and doesn't take an hour to connect you to another player. It should just then naturally progress itself. So if it was a new player, they would then get against another new player. And yeah, they'd probably all be stumbling around the map wondering what's going on. But they are all doing that. They wouldn't be getting against somebody who's hyper bouncing around. That only happens, yes, Smurf accounts, that is a thing. But that widespread, that only happens because the matchmaking system was dreadful. The ranking system was dreadful. The eliminations thing didn't help, but that aside, the ranking system and the matchmaking system was dreadful. And if that worked, this whole thing would have been avoided. They could have kept the game a difficult to learn game, but no. It had to be, oh, you've never played before, okay, here's an advantage. What is the point? Just let people learn the game.
But you're doing wrong. Don't push here, reload there. Pay attention to where your team is. Don't be a hero. Be generous with weapons. Communicate, and maybe then you won't have to go on Reddit or the forums and complain how you paid $100 for a garbage game that you don't want to learn, you just want to succeed at.
I feel like I keep pausing, giving my opinion. I unpause and he says it. Yeah.
Don't get flowers without shit, so get your hands dirty and ask for advice. Quit killing.
That. So he stepped back there. So the first shot, we'll play it again. I don't want to go too far. His first shot here. No, sorry, not back far enough. His first shot.
Don't be a hero. Be generous with weapons.
Will be a down.
And maybe then you won't have to go on Reddit.
Did he not step back? Did he not step back?
How you paid $100
Did you lose the active?
Game that you don't want to learn. You just want.
Oh no, he stepped back.
You don't get flowers without shit, so get your hands dirty.
And then he puts in 4 point. And that's exactly what I'm saying. That's what it needs to be now. Have a distance where you either put someone 4 point or do chip damage. Have a distance where you down them in one shot, and have a distance where you just blow them away. That's how it needs to be. The fact that that middle ground distance for the one shot down isn't there is why people keep getting like 84% and the other player just steps forward and bodies you. At full game pace, it's near impossible to read. You're convinced you're in the correct distance when you're probably not. Not taking into account latency and other network problems as well. It's just so confusing, and if it had that middle ground, it would be so much clearer. It's not a case of make the Gib range bigger or smaller. It's really not, because the Gib range could be the full length of the altar. This guy could be stood against a wall. This guy could be at this back wall over here. And if that was a Gib range, he'd get gibbed. But if he just steps back one step, he's out of Gib range, and you can't tell. It doesn't matter if the Gib range was the size of the map, pretty much. If you step one step back too far, you're not in Gib range no more, and you think you are, and you're not. And it's just the only reason I understand why people want it to be smaller is because it's easier to sort of judge. Like, if you're close to somebody, you can sort of think, okay, I've got to be right point blank for it to be a Gib. But personally, I don't like the distance to be that small. I do like a longer Gib range, but I prefer it for gameplay reasons, not because of the 84% thing. It's nothing to do with it.
Ask for advice. Quit killing a game because you don't understand the community and its established culture that's existed since the game came out. Learn how to properly shoddy battle. It's a melee, a slow reload, and a melee into a wall bounce. That's both of you
that is OG.
Quit doing whatever it takes to win. Go for that risky play and see who comes out on top. It's just a game. Let's have some fun instead of acting like this shit is going to be on our resume in 20 years. With that, I don't have much else to add. Just thought it was important to put something out there reflecting an opinion that may be unpopular but has valid points, and if tested out, may improve the game in future meta drastically. I mean, honestly, bring the competitive betas back and do some of these riskier ideas that you have to mess with the formula into the game. Let us see what could happen with Gears of War if we got a little more ambitious and experimental. You know, I'm not saying let's start flying on
You
the
did
map,
not get
but,
that frag.
you know, maybe make the wall bounce distance a little further that I can pull from a long way away. Make the side bounce better. You know, there's so many things that you could try, and I think it's important to at least get it out there, have that idea, and maybe you do something with it. Who knows? But it gets the ball rolling. So.
Okay, I'm going to cut that there. I think that was a really good video. There's many points you made in that weren't all about the one shot down, but in terms of the one shot down, I know I've said it loads in that, but I definitely think it's something that shouldn't have been taken away, and I do think it's the reason why we have the whole 84% annoyance now. Yeah, that was a bit of a longer video than I was expecting. I kept pausing and ranting, but that was a good video. I will link it in the description if you want to take a look at his channel as well. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. See ya.